wherever you're located and whatever your time zone is. Welcome to Crossfire. Together with me, Sir Butch Valdes and Paglinawan, this is Rita Gadi. Today, our title for the program is, somewhere you're going to read this, To Save Ourselves. After many events that have happened in the Southeast Asian region, where our president represented our country and our government, first with the ASEAN for its 45th anniversary, and of course the turnover next year to Indonesia, and then of course the APEC and several other meetings on the side with countries that have attended also the Asian Pacific Economic Forum that is very strategic and very important for all of us here in the region. As they say, over the past decades, this is the region where much of the attention of the world is at, not only because of the largeness and the looming power that's within the region. We have Russia, the Soviet Federation, and then of course we have People's Republic of China, but then it is also the Southeast Asian nations that holds the regional supposedly balance and the stability of our area. What does it mean that we have to save ourselves? Well, if we listen to all of those participating in the foreign fora that has been occurring over the past several weeks, it is important that we await what could become as the result of all of this for our country, which are foreign investments and all the different efforts that have been undertaken by our president to invite both the private and the governments of these countries to come and invest here. But something is also brewing, which we cannot ignore, and that is precisely the stability of our region. We already know what has happened and is happening in Ukraine and Russia and the NATO and the European Union, etc. And let us hope that nothing of the sort will happen here in our region. And that is why our topic for today is to save ourselves. With the meetings that the leaders have had to maintain the South China Sea as the freedom of navigation highway, so to speak, the waters that do not belong to any one country as yet, although there are a lot of claimants regarding this. Water, as we've always said, should not be owned anyway. So that is how it goes. And that is why Sir Butch at one time discussed a passageway of another country coming all the way across the Pacific, entering our marital zones here. And then, of course, Ado likewise has shown us how important these water tributaries and water passages are as far as our region is concerned. So let's go to that. We have to know how to save ourselves in the light of all that is happening after all of the meetings that had in the APEC and in the ASEAN. Sir Butch?
Yeah, well, the recent meetings here that the superpowers have been having with countries like us, underscores how important our area is, the Southeast Asian region. How important they see, the superpowers see it for their own geopolitical reasons. That you can almost feel a tug of war, between the Americans, the Biden group and whoever, and Xi Jinping on the other side. Not that they are pulling one to the other. The U.S. is actually the one pulling, and then the others are trying to get away and moving towards China. For whatever reason. It could be economic, it could be safety, but most importantly, because underlying in that all of the talks that include agricultural, economic development is this threat wherein the superpowers may eventually go into conflict. And where do we stand when this happens? That's why appropriately we considered the title, the theme of this show today to be saving
Ourselves, exactly.
ourselves.
Ado has already shown us in many ways what's happening in Taiwan, and of course the movement of the warships that are there, and so that is why we have to consider all of that. Pelosi was there We don't know what happened after her, after her trip there in Taiwan. And then, of course, now you have the Vice President of America coming here to visit Palawan for whatever reasons. Ado, how do you look at this?
Well, a visit of a high-ranking official of one country to another is thus far considered the highest level of international affirmation of good relations between two countries. Usually its purpose is to confirm the good relationship between the countries concerned. Nevertheless, what's odd and not so conventional in the upcoming visit of Kamala Harris to the Philippines is her impending visit to a facility being established under the U.S.-Philippine Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, at Antonio Bautista Air Base in Puerto Princesa, Palawan, where the home of the Philippine Military Command in charge of defending and patrolling the Spratly Islands and our presence in the South China Sea. One of the bases, one of the EDCA bases is located. Just like any concerned Filipino who cares about their country's relations with U.S. and China, given that both countries are both friends of the Philippines, the forthcoming visit of U.S. Vice President Harris to Palawan, from my vantage point, is this ingenious, ano ibig sabihin yan? Insincere an exercise that will put the Philippines in a precarious and awkward situation vis-a-vis Beijing, provoking animosity at the expense of the Philippines. She is not going to Palawan for the Philippines. She's going to Palawan for the Americans. And I do not welcome this visit because this is no different from the U.S. Senate President Nancy Pelosi visiting Taiwan and showing a dirty finger at China. Ano nangyari, by the way?
Oo nga.
Ang hindi nagdi-discuss is that noong pakita ng China na meron siyang mga areas na predetermined to serve as blockade areas. At tinignan ng mga Amerikano, wala namang naka-blockade. Pero pinakita ng China how in the advanced technology of hypersonic missiles, and especially in the case that was drone, no? And the flexibility, hindi masyadong nag-move ng ship ng China. Ang minove nila, yung kanilang mga bombers, and they also showed their brand new J-20 aircraft,
Supersonic aircraft.
which is more modern than the F-35 and the Russian Sukhoi model. Alam niyo naging resulta? Nangalahati ang presence ng US. In other words, umatras ang US. Hindi dinidiscuss to, no? Hindi nire-reveal ito. Except in strategic circles and in foreign affairs fora worldwide. Natakot siya, umurong sila, nag-park sila ng ibang ships dito sa atin, di ba? Umurong sila. Nangalahati ang present. Eh dati, bira sila dyan. Bakit? Kasi na-discover na, for instance, in the technology of the drone, 5:1. Butch, Rita. 5,000 to 1,000 ng US ang ratio. Hindi lang yon. Yung gumagawa pa ng 1,000 ng US, nagsara. Dahil sa pandemic. Oo. So, kita nyo naman, no? Diba? Yung, alam mo itong bagong technology na ito, mind-blowing. Nakita ko lang yan nung nung meeting ni Abansi ni Bongbong, na
Yung fireworks.
Ang daming
Yeah.
Then after the fireworks, may drones.
Yes, okay.
At ang dami-dami nila, they were forming certain words. No?
Yes.
And
And it's Chinese.
paano kung may dalang yung bomba? So, klaro na mga kabansana, dito, huwag tayong padadala sa propaganda. We are no longer colony of the Americans. And best yet, we are neither their lackeys or proxies. No, hindi nila tayo mga chimoy. Pero our own foreign affairs and defense idiots, such as Manalo and Faustino, since Bongbong Marcos assumed the office, have become suspects. That they, together with our servile ambassador to the U.S., to the Washington D.C., si Butch Valdes, have engaged in an information war showing an apparent forward position. Apparent lang naman. Naglabas sila lang kung ano ng mga palabas dyan. So meron daw mga joint patrol, South China Sea, na hindi naman pala sa gilid lang sa balis nangyari. Na pangalawa, inurog daw sa Russia yung order ng
Helicopter.
at napapagtan daw ng Chinook from the
America.
US. Wala pa naman makapapeles na nagpapakita ng Amerika. Insinuating that their pronouncement, na pinapaboran gobyernong Marcos Jr. ang West more than it regards China. Just a week ago, a stupid news that we are expanding American presence. Diba? And kabeses, sabi mo nga, Rita, from 5 to 10, hit the press. Why are we accommodating this country that has lied to the world, mga kabansa, about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that claimed the lives of more than 200,000 civilians, Iraqi civilians. The U.S. occupation of Afghanistan, more than 70,000 Afghan and Pakistani civilians. The U.S. occupation of Afghanistan, yan ang mga nagresulta sa Vietnam War. 2 million civilians on both sides. And some more than 1 million North Vietnamese and Vietcong fighters. Yan ang yan ang pumuporma. This was followed by another preemptive attempt that we are expanding our visiting forces agreement to Japan. 1 million Filipinos died as a result of the Japanese occupation of the Second World War. The U.S. spent, mga kabansa, about $7 trillion in war for the past 20 years. Why do we want to be associated with this superpower bully that wants to justify its presence in our neighborhood just because of an obsolete military alliance we signed with them in 1951? Abrogate the Mutual Defense Treaty. Abolish the Visiting Forces Agreement and the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. Bakit? Dahil wala naman tayong kaaway. So, why make our land and our people the target of a possible nuclear attack in case anybody goes into war with the United States? Hindi going to war with the Philippines.
I just want to emphasize yung sinasabi ni Ado, sapagkat maganda yung narrative niyan, yan ang kanyang sinuportahan tungkol dito sa EDCA na ito. Ilang beses na natin to uulit-ulitin, ngunit kailangan maintindihan ng gusto. Sabi nga natin, sa dinami-dami ng mga meeting na nangyari dito sa APEC, dito sa ASEAN, pinag-uusapan lahat ng matutulong na mga bansa na yan sa isa't isa. Ngunit, when you go down to the bottom line, as they say, the baseline, ang importante sa productivity is the bansa itself. But outside of the country, that's what Ando is talking about, and Sir Butch, precisely, to save ourselves. Now, the first article of that Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, yung EDCA na yan, na pinirmahan noong 19, kailan ba ito, panahon ni Ninoy, 2014, April 28, birthday pa noon ako ito, 2014. Anong sabi dito sa Article 1? To develop individual and collective capacities of the Philippines and the United States to resist armed attack as set out in their Military Defense Treaty. Kung talagang babalikan yung sinasabi nga ni Sir ng Military Defense Treaty na 1951 pa, ay doon na nga sinasabi hindi nga ito na-approve ng Senate ng Amerika. So paano nila mai-implement yan? At kung kailangan na proteksyonan ang Pilipinas, gawa ng treaty na yan, ay pupunta pa sila sa kongreso nila. So anong ibig sabihin itong EDCA nito? Walang kabuluhan exactly. And besides, as Ado was asking, sino ba ang kalaban natin na kailangan tayong tulungan to defend ourselves, to defend ourselves? Ang Amerika naman, you have to cross the Pacific Ocean from our country, which is the biggest body of water in the planet. So kung aatakihin sila doon, bakit sila dito lalaban sa region natin? Bakit dito sa South China Sea? The protection they have doon sa may, ano bang tawag din? Andreas Fault. Doon sila sa Andreas Fault. Magtayo ng kanilang defense. Exactly. So again, as Ado has emphasized, magdadagdag pa ng 5 pa. Alam ba ninyo, yan ang sinabi ng ating Chief of Staff, si Bacaro, yung possible sites. Kaya nga, he is welcoming now the Vice President of America to visit Palawan para malaman saan pa pwede magdagdag. Pero maliban sa Palawan, ito yung mga lugar na binanggit nitong si Bacaro, General Bacaro. 2 bases sa Cagayan, isa sa Palawan, yan ang bibisitahin ng Vice President ng Amerika, isa sa Zambales, isa sa Isabela. Tingnan nyo sa mapa ng Pilipinas how strategically located these places are, facing the Pacific and facing the South China Sea. Nakakatakot po yan. How do we save ourselves from this kind of pronouncements? Sabi nga ni Ado, wala pang pirmahan yan, ngunit binabanggit na, while our President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. has mentioned that maganda yung usapan nila ni President Xi Jinping ng People's Republic of China, that they will maintain this corridor of peace and that there will only be diplomatic conversations and dialogues rather than violent conflict. So ayan, saan tayo dyan? May ibang salita, itong mga kanyang mga tao sa gobyerno, at yun naman ang paninindigan ng ating presidente. How do we save ourselves?
You know, I just wanted to add that we had the U.S. bases agreement, okay? After World War II, di ba? Nagkaroon tayo ng agreement that so many years, they will be here. Now, at the end of those years, they didn't want to leave. No? But nagkaroon tayo ng people's clamor, and our government, rightly so, took a position that they should leave. They didn't want to leave. Nagkaroon ng earthquake, eruption in 1990. So, the U.S. was forced to leave.
You saw them on TV.
Yeah. Nagmamayabang tayo na pinaalis natin sila. Hindi na paalis ni Korea. Ang nagpaalis ang Diyos.
Nature.
Ang Diyos. Dahil,
pinatubo.
right. Nagakrakan sila. Finally, wala na sila. No? Ngayon, what I'm trying to say is, whatever U.S. bases here have been restarted, no, by the EDCA and the informal agreements that Noynoy Aquino had put us in with the U.S. is a worse situation than the previous bases agreement that we had, wherein we only had Clark and Subic. No? This one, spread out, divided by 8 mo itong Subic and Clark, nandyan sila. No? Andyan pa rin sa Subic yung mga submarines and battleships ng ng Amerikano. Nandyan all over. And then, we're quiet. Not only is the government quiet about it, not only is, bakit ang quiet pati yung mga leftists? Itong mga taong galit na galit sa Amerikano, mga tuta ni Marcos,
Ng Amerika
ng
daw.
Amerika daw si President Marcos, yung matanda. Hindi po, ang tuta, yung anak na yata eh. Pero hindi ba, itong tatay niya, hindi po tuta ng Amerikano yun. Pero ngayon, tahimik sila pagdating dito sa EDCA. I don't understand. Talaga bang, sino ba nagpo-photo ng mga ito? No? In other words, what I'm trying to say is, we are in a worse situation for our country. And we were all the time being told that the presence of the Americans here is a deterrent for anybody trying to attack us. No, sir. The presence of the Americans here is not a deterrent because we have allowed the Americans to make us into a base for an offensive against their enemy, not ours, their enemy. And we are made into cannon fodder, no? Ano tayo, pambala lang, bases nila.
Kumbara sa
That is,
kanyon.
yan, ang crossfire. Andyan tayo sa crossfire nitong ginagawa nga sa atin. Dahilan nga sa kanilang takot sa China. Bakit sila natatakot sa China? Bakit natatakot ang Amerika sa China? Sabi nga ni, I think President Xi Jinping spoke of this during the meetings that he had in the APEC and even when he met with several of the world leaders, that should really be a sea of peace.
Nagkaroon ng konting fresh air, no? Nung aminin ni Biden, President Joe Biden, that he was not convinced, no, that China
China is an enemy.
will invade Taiwan. So, pati yung mga nagdadrama-drama nun sa background, yung tinatawag nating deep state, no? Yung mga neoconservatives, yung mga in charge ng tinatawag ni Eisenhower na anong tawag ni Eisenhower dyan? The military industrial complex. Yan ho ang nanggagato. In fact, the pronouncements and body English ng Secretaries of Foreign Affairs natin at National Defense are inconsistent with the established foreign policy by Bongbong Marcos. Saan ko nakuha yung established foreign policy ni Bongbong Marcos? Sa pag-uusap nila kay Xi Jinping.
Exactly, yes.
Dahil this was published.
Yes.
Walang mga notes yan. Kung ano talaga yung mga bottom lines. Ano ang pinagmitingan dyan? That the mutual trust between our two countries is being increasingly strengthened, sabi, that the Philippines looks forward to working with China to unleash potentials and expand cooperations in such areas as infrastructure, energy, agriculture, people-to-people exchange, in an effort to build a more robust and strong bilateral relationship.
Exactly.
Walang binabanggit mo sa mga gera-gera.
Exactly.
Mga sundalo, ini-stress pa ni Marcos Jr. yung consistent view that the relationship between two countries should not be defined, sabi niya. Sabi ng ating Pangulo, by maritime issues, that both sides may further enhance communication in this regard. Pag-uusapan kung meron mang problema. And Philippines will continue to adhere to the One China policy. Naku!
Ang bigat nun.
Ang bigat nun! Uphold the principle, ito na siya sabi ni Rita, of peace, stay committed to the independent foreign policy and will not take sides. And finally, BBM said he's ready to engage in active communication consultations with China and find ways to advance the joint exploration of maritime oil and gas
Ang
exploration.
ganda-ganda ng sinasabi ng Presidente.
Exactly.
Ngayon, ano naman ang sinasabi ng Foreign Affairs niya at Defense Secretary
Pero
niya?
hawakan natin yung sinabi ng ating presidente
Kabaligtaran.
exactly, but let's hold on to that and believe in what the statements that he has issued are actually contained already, quite to be cemented when he goes to visit China the first week or at least this, sometime in January next year. So mahalaga po, lahat ng kanyang binitawan at salita, hawakan natin yon to save ourselves. Hawakan natin yung mga binanggit ng ating Pangulo dito sa mga nakaraang pagminiting nila kay President Xi Jinping sapagkat yan din ang kanyang bit-bit, dala niya yan pagdating sa state visit niya sa China. Kinagagalak natin yan sapagkat nauna siya dyan. Kapitbahay natin, our neighbor in Asia.
To hear his words
Yeah.
as he was talking to President Xi Jinping, really uplifts my own spirit, and everybody else, because you can hear what a leader is saying, and he's supposed to say with conviction. But we must remember that Xi Jinping will hold him to task with what he said. And when they meet, privately or otherwise, everything that he said to Xi Jinping he will be reminded of that. And he cannot retract from it any which way or the other. And I think he should be warned about this, because his minions, his defense secretary and his foreign affairs secretary are saying the opposite. The opposite. Now, Xi Jinping is not going to hold back and allow this thing to happen. We were just talking about what he told the President of Canada.
Si Trudeau.
Ikwento mo nga, partner yun. Ha?
Ikaw na.
Ha?
Sinabi niya kay Trudeau. Sige na, ikaw na Rita.
Nagkaroon sila ng, as what happens, they really don't have a separate room for them to sit down and talk. They just meet whenever there is the possibility of talking. And that was one instance where you had Canada and the People's Republic of China exchanging whatever it was between them. But then we heard, at least that was what was revealed by the press, that President Xi Jinping told President Trudeau that is not supposed to be revealed to the media because that is a conversation between the two of us. And what you told the media is not exactly what we talked about. So, dun mo makikita na hindi lang sa matalas ang memory ni Xi Jinping, ngunit you know how the Chinese are. Hindi nga sila sa mga sari-sari store nga, hindi na sila nagbibigay. Sa memoryado nila lahat yan eh.
Nakalimutan mo sabihin, Rita,
Oo.
nag-walk out si Xi Jinping.
Oh yeah, he turned around and left.
He
Trudeau
left,
there.
nag-walk out, sabi niya, wala tayong pinag-usapan na that you may make this public.
Exactly. Oh.
Not only that, but what you said in
It's not.
public is not what we discussed.
Exactly. So pag yan sinasabi nga ni Sir Butch, pagka ganyan ang stand at ang ating presidente makikipag-meeting sa kanya sa China, ganun din ang paninindigan.
Baka
And-
mag-walk out si Xi Jinping.
And what is important for us to realize, historically, sabi ko, parati kong nilalabas ito, we're talking with the president of a country that's as old as civilization itself, 2,500 years ago. Kung titingnan mo yung history of the world, doon na sila nagsimula after the Great Flood.
Uy, delikado yan
Oo.
sa Canada. Kasi mula nung umalis, yung ibang Chinese, yung mga pro-Taiwan Chinese
From Hong
sa
Kong.
Hong Kong,
Oo, dyan sila
yung
pumunta.
Vancouver, naging Hong Kong Couver na po. Doon nagpunta. At ang Toronto, ganun din.
Exactly.
Ang daming mga Chinese doon. So, sa Canada, hindi biro yan kay Trudeau.
That was the title of our program last week. The Chinese are everywhere. Let us not consider the fact that population-wise, they're actually 1/4 of humankind. The first Chinatown was where? Sa San Francisco, remember?
Hindi naman. No. Binondo.
Dito sa atin.
Pangalawa lang yun.
Be that as it may, sabi nga ni Sir Butch, mahalaga na paghawakan natin and trust and hold on to the words presented by our President doon sa kanilang meeting. At yan ang kanyang dala pag siya'y makikipag-usap ngayon sa darating na Enero, which is next year. And as we said, we acknowledge the fact and we're very proud of the fact that he will visit China first ahead of a state visit that is supposedly scheduled for the United States of America. Pero yung sinasabi mga Ado at saka Sir Butch, na parang iba yung sinasabi ng kanyang minions, ng mga miyembro ng kanyang kabineta sa sinasabi ng ating presidente. Eh, tingnan din naman natin si presidente ng Amerika na sabi niya, okay yung pag-uusap nila ng China. Ngunit, ayan, si Pelosi pumunta ng Taiwan, wagging a finger against China. And then you have this Kamala Harris who's going to Palawan. Ano ba, hindi naman siya tourist sa Palawan para sa bumisita.
Isa pa si Biden dito sa Southeast Asia meeting. Hindi niya alam kung anong bansa yung pinagmimitingan nila.
Oo.
Ang tawag niya sa Cambodia.
Colombia, sabi niya, oo.
Colombia daw.
Kung pag-uusapan how America stands in the world, here is a classic example of his president. Sabi nga ng mga Indians during the older days of the cowboys and the Indians, they speak with forked tongue. Nabanggit mo, Ado, lahat ng mga pinasukan nila na bansa. Para, oo, para makuha nila na yung kanilang gusto. Meron silang sinasabi. Exactly. You forgot to mention Syria. Anong ginawa nila sa Syria? We have a report coming from the United Nations itself, a team that went there to check what is happening. Kasi ang tagal na yan ng hidwaan dyan nang tinatawag nga itong mga terrorist na yan. Funded pala ito ng isang branch din ng tinatawag na deep state. Kaya when they took over the biggest commercial and industrial city in Syria, yung Aleppo, pumasok na ang Russian Federation para tulungan ang Syrian army. And in how long? 6 days or ilan yan? They were able to get Aleppo. No, I'm sorry, in 6 weeks, they were able to get Aleppo. So diyan mo makikita, papasok sila ng bansa para masunod lang yung gusto nila. Again, while they say one thing, they do otherwise. While they say that they're going to protect us against enemies, yun din ang ating tatanungin.
Kaya namin ito binabanggit mga kabatsay para hindi kayo naguguluhan. Dahil kuminsan yung sanga ng dila ng ibang mga ahente ng Amerika dito sa ating gobyerno ay nauuna pa. Ngayon, ang tawag po dyan yung Global North, no? Yung US at saka mga Western Allies na mga Global North yan. They're always looking for excuses and justifications for political interventions in Asia. Bakit? Dahil po mga kabansa, ang nangyayari sa nangyayari sa Russia war sa Ukraine. Nakakabistuhan na. Na hindi maganda ang patakbo ni Zelensky. At hinihinga na siya mismo ni Biden. At sinabi pa ni Biden kay Zelensky, ingrato ka. Kung ano hinihingi mo, ang dami na namin binigay. Kailangan mag-accounting muna tayo kung saan mo ginamit. Di ba? At ganoon din sinabi ng Germany. Kaya umuusad na sila. Nag-iisip-isip na sila. Ang fearless forecast ko po, matapos itong, lalo na itong linggong to, papasok na po ang ginaw, ang yelo. And possibly we will see a final Russian offensive na talagang that will break the backbone of whatever is left of Ukraine. Kaya nakikita na nila. Kaya pati yung Chief of Joint Staffs ng US, sinasabi na kay Zelensky, take advantage of this opportunity, no, to bring it to a negotiation. No? Can you imagine, manggagaling ho doon?
Binomba nila yung Nord Stream.
Oo.
Pagkatapos, i-blame nila ang Russia. Sila rin naman nagbomba. Sinong nahirapan? The rest of the European countries. Ngayon, ang ginawa naman nila, itong tungkol sa pagbomba sa Poland, ay nagkamali. Hindi pala ang Russia nagbomba sa Poland. Meron lang palang pumutok doon. Zelensky pa rin ang gumawa nito. He's creating his own war so that he can get the sympathy and the money that's coming supposedly for support. Ang NATO nga, hindi na gumalaw eh.
No.
Hindi na sila gumalaw. Kasi nakikita nila na kailangan talaga nila ng supply ng gagaling sa Russia at sa Ukraine.
At
The other way, gusto ko lang dagdag, another viewpoint, Aldo, is that there are people and institutions and which is the deep state that really are pushing for war. That striking of the Nord Stream, those are two main pipes that could not have been done as an accident or whatever, and it was not reasonable or logical
For Russia.
for Russia to do it to themselves. No?
Exactly.
So that was tough. Why? Because the oil and energy requirements of Europe will go down and Europe will freeze during winter. No? Now,
Sabi ni Ado nga. Oo.
now, and why are they? Because they're getting NATO unified to make a strike on Russia directly na, hindi na through the surrogate Ukraine. Now, this thing that happened in
Poland.
Poland, politically, they said, has something to do with what is happening in the U.S. now. No? If you know the politics in the U.S., the House, the lower house has already taken control of the House of Representatives.
The Republicans. No?
Republicans, which means they are in a position to do investigation. They are even in a position to move for the impeachment of the president. Now, some are saying that strike in Poland again was to create a situation so that you can blame it on Russia, so that more the focus will be for a war in Russia, and these things are somehow going to be dissipated. No?
Exactly.
Kasi kung magulo na,
Oo.
at may gera na, hindi ka na makakapag-impeachment and all of that politically. Meron nagsasabi ganyan.
And Poland itself, umatras to blame Russia. Sinabi, it was a mistake. It was, and sinabi nga nila, Ukraine ito. Then you have Biden saying that he does not believe that Russia will invade Ukraine. Bakit mag-i-invade ang Russia sa Ukraine? That's still part of the Soviet Federation. It's like saying na sinabi rin ni Biden that he is now anticipating that he is not anticipating China to invade Taiwan. But why would China invade Taiwan? Taiwan is a province of China. Bakit kailangan i-invade? And that's Biden speaking.
At si Biden, clarify na niya officially. Ukrainian missiles, S-300 yung tumama sa Poland.
Sa Poland.
Poland.
Exactly.
But
Oo.
what is happening economically is more significant. Kasi ang NATO parang nag-freeze. Bakit? Ang European Union po, mga kabansa, nagsisimula ng pumila sa China. Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, and recently, hindi lang Germany na nagpunta doon si Skolber, how do you pronounce that? Skolber. At France.
France. Oo.
At
Macron.
of late, pati sa Eastern, Poland at Hungary. So wala na talagang putol yung gera doon. Kaya pahupana yan, ang piniprevent lang natin ay kung yan ay lilipat dito
O
sa
sasabayan.
East. Kasi alam niyo the West complicates. Lagi ko sinasabi ito. The West complicates whatever the East simplifies. So dito sa atin dito, mag-ingat tayong magpadala sa mga marisol, mga kabansa, na sulsol ng sulsol, na tayo ay makihalo dyan sa gera. Wala naman tayong kaaway.
Pakinggan niyo mabuti ang hinihimay namin dito sa programang ito sapagkat marami dito hindi lumalabas sa tinatawag na mainstream or western media. Yung sinasabi nga ni Ado, ayan, sinabi mismo ng Poland na hindi ang Russia ang nagpasabog doon sa kanila. Ang Ukraine ang nagpasabog. Paano naman bibintangan ng Poland ang Russia? May history sila. It was Russia that prevented the entrance of the Nazis in Poland in the Second World War. I mean, pag minsan walang
history.
Yeah, walang sense of history. And that is exactly what we're trying to do in this program. Na pag binabalikan natin yung mga nakaraan, panahon ni President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos, 52 years ago, nasa kasalukuyan ay unti-unti nang sana ay maisagawa na rin ng kanyang anak. Yan po ang tinatawag natin ng continuity of history. Ilang beses na namin na pag-usapan yan dito sa susunod na palatuntunan, babalikan natin yan. Pero sa kasalukuyan, to save ourselves, precisely because of the meetings that happened in APEC, balikan natin ang history yan. Binanggit nga mismo there when they were introducing our own president. Your father was part of the organization of the ASEAN in 1967 or so. Kasi dati sito pa lang yan, 5 bansa lang. Ngayon 10 na. Ngayon gusto na ipasok ng Amerika pati itong Timor-Leste na sila na rin ang gumawa sa bansa na yan. Because, ayan, tingnan natin yan. Sapagkat dyan sa lugar na yan, maybe we can have the map. Doon sa lugar na yan kung saan yung Timor-Leste and East Timor, they give it a French name, Timor-Leste. Nandulagay nga sila ng presidente dyan, nabibigyan pa sana rin ni Nobel, ay nalaman pala na pedophilia pala yung lalagay nilang presidente dyan. Bakit gusto rin hawakan ng Amerika yan? Delikado kasi yung pagdaan dyan sa lugar kung saan yung Timor-Leste na yan, yung Malacca Strait. Napag-usapan na natin yan noong nakaraan.
Parte ng Indonesia.
Parte ng Indonesia. Ngunit makikita ninyo, dumadaan din yan sa South China Sea sa Indian Ocean. Yan ang Malacca Strait. Ipakwento mga Ado kung saan yan, Sir Butch, para makita natin ang kahulugan ng pagdaan dyan ng mga military vessels na nanggagaling sa Amerika, dumadaan dyan, back and forth.
Hindi ko lang kung nakikita nyo po yung mapa. Gusto ko lang i-blow up muna para everybody can see the yung nakikita natin kung saan ang Pilipinas, no? Yan, okay. Kung titignan nyo po, yung merong red dot dyan, no? Yan ang Singapore. Tapos, dyan dumadaan ang mga bapor na pangangalakal, lalong-lalo na yung mga langit, dumadaan dyan sa manipis na lugar. Yan lang ang kasalukuyang pinagdadaanan ng mga bapor. Pagpasok nila dyan sa yung red dot na yan, kakaliwa sila paakyat, no? Norte ng Pilipinas, papuntang China Sea. Yung sinasabi natin na disputed area. No? Yan dahil yan, napakanipis na lugar yan. Ang pinagigiitan po ng Amerika, kinakailangan kontrolihin nila yan, Malacca Straits na yan, dahil pag pinigil yan, hindi nila matutuloy ang kanilang pangalakad. Pero, ang gusto din nila, dumaloy dyan ang mga military vessels. At gusto nilang dumadaan dyan. Ayan po, okay? Nakikita nyo, pag dumaan dyan, doon kung saan may red dot, na nipis na manipis, paakyat o pakaliwa doon sa taas, papuntang China. Yun ang ayaw na ayaw, ang sinasabi ng Amerika, We want freedom of navigation.
Navigation, okay.
We want an assurance. Nobody is blocking them now, no? But they want an assurance. Okay. So in order to, we are supposed to have given them the assurance that there will be no, but they still are there. In order that they get China in a political tight position,
yeah.
they're getting their surrogates, yung mga gago dito sa Pilipinas, nagpapakatuta para labanan ng China sa mga other issues tungkol sa territorial boundaries.
I just want to mention something which was already written way back in 1978. Sa mga interesado pang malaman talaga yung dinadaanan na yan sa ito yung pangalan ng pamphlet na ito. Sinulat ito ng isang secretary ng International Law Association na taga Singapore. Kasi nakita nyo dumadaan yan sa Singapore. Kung magkaroon ng gulo dyan, mawawala ang Singapore dyan. This is the freedom of passage in the Straits of Malacca in the context of international law, with particular reference to the problems of navigational safety and environmental security. Sinulat po ito ng taga-Singapore way back in 1978. Kailangan pong basahin ninyo ito kung makahalungkat ninyo sa archives natin because this refers to that particular Malacca Strait. Mahalaga po yan. Kasi yung tanong ko ngayon kay Ado, pwede bang basta paligoy-ligoy dyan ang mga barko na armed na military ships, mga aircraft carriers. Kung ito ay supposed to be a commercial navigational highway, bakit merong mga armas na mga barko na andyan din paikot-ikot? Para saan yon? At pwede ba yon? Anong nagpapahintulot sa kanila na andyan sila? The countries that are lining the South China Sea, can they prevent this? Yung tinatawag, maybe Ado can explain this, the rules-based law. Ano ba yung sinasabi ng Amerika?
Meron ditong, ang sinusunod na lahat ng bansa ay customary international law. Ito yung naging tradisyon. Mula pa noong ang tawag pa nga mercantilism.
Mercantile, precisely. Oo, balikan natin yung
Na
mercantile.
ang
For commercial purposes, oo.
pinapayagan lamang dyan ay for purposes of trade.
Yes.
No? Hindi naman, hindi naman sinasabi. Pagka nilagay mo na dyan mga military, anong mangyayari dyan? Di magiging God mode diplomacy na yan. So, hindi ho kasama yan sa customary international law. No? At meron din sa distinction kasi hindi po, iba po yung United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas. Sa customary, gawa yung UNCLOS ay treaty. Agreement po yun.
At hindi po may pang-Amerika dyan. They're not a signatory to that.
Pumirma sila, pero hindi nila ni-ratify. Hindi nila ni-ratify. At ang China at Pilipinas, pumirma dyan, pero hindi naman tayo pumayag, at separately, on a separate occasion, hindi rin pumayag ang China to submit to compulsory arbitration.
Yan.
Compulsory arbitration. Ang pinili nating mode of settlement ay bilateral negotiation. Ang China also is prohibited by its own law into subsuming their sovereignty sa anumang treaty, kaya bilateral negotiation din sila. Kaya nung dalhin tayo sa The Hague ni Ngoy Aquino, sa kapagkalokohan itong si Albert de Rosario na nag-hire pa ng mga American lawyers, mga kabansa, para gumawa ng ating depensa diyan sa tinatawag nilang West Philippine Sea. Ay alam nila na hindi pwede ang compulsory arbitration sa atin at sa China. Pero inubligan nila ang China at ang China hindi nag-participate. Mga kabansa, sa kayo nakakita ng arbitration na iisa lamang ang partido?
At saka saan ang galing yung arbitration committee niyan? It's not even a part of the United Nations.
It's not
For the
even part.
settlement of disputes.
At saka tayo ho ang nag-compose ng mga jurors niya. Tayo nagpasweldo. Tayo nagbayad lahat ng gasto.
$80 million or so, yeah.
So, sa ano lamang, sa abogado pa lamang, $7 million.
At kasama pa mga pamilya nila.
$7 million mga kabansa. That's almost 400 million pesos. Can you imagine? Tapos, di siyempre hometown decision. At isa pang dapat malaman niyo mga kabansa, pagka-arbitration, ang ruling applies only to the parties that were involved in the arbitration. It cannot be used as a sort of a jurisprudence by other countries. No. Kaya nga arbitration lang sa kanila lamang yun. No?
Sa sports
So
nga,
one-
meron yan eh.
Why am I belaboring this? Kasi, binabalasa yan ng mga sinasabi nila, rules-based. Pero actually, yung rules na sinusunod nila ay sarili nilang ini-impose sa mundo. Kinukonfuse nila ang mga tao. For instance, alam niyo ba mga kabansa, na pagdating sa exclusive economic zone, yung ilalim lamang ng tubig ang pwede for exploitation. Yung itaas ho niyan, international water, but for purposes of mercantilism, trade, free trade. Yung freedom of navigation po is for commerce and trade. Pag yan ay ginamit na ng ibang bansa, as I was saying, para sa kanilang mga military, lalo-lalo na may karga pang mga nuclear yung mga yan. Marami hong batas na hindi sinusunod yan. So how can they be free? Can they be free to bully other nations? No. So their interpretation of freedom of navigation includes military. Kaya gusto nila magbase dyan sa Zamboanga para ma-preserve yung kanilang passage doon sa Cebu Strait. Gusto nilang mag-base din sa Palawan para mabantayan nila ang South China.
Kaya dito sa meeting nila sa January sa China, kung ako si Xi Jinping, sasabihin ko sa presidente natin, let's cut the bullshit. Let's not talk about the maritime issues anymore. You better get rid of the U.S. warships in the Philippines because they will be used as
Targets.
they will be used as targets once they start war between our two countries. And you will be caught in the crossfire. Yeah? And that means millions of our people will die because the U.S. decides to use us as their base. And our leaders do not have the balls to say, no, you're not welcome here. We're not saying you have the ability to take them out. But what we should say is, you guys are not welcome here. No? And we must make that declaration. So they are here forcefully. No? Ganyan dapat. But because right now, ito na ang sitwasyon natin. We are moving towards war. And let's not beat around the bush anymore as to what we need to do.
And everything that we're talking about here in this program has historical basis. Earlier, sinabi nga ni Ado, he enumerated the places na pinasukan ng Amerika historically from the time of the Second World War. Anong nangyari sa mga bansa na yan na kanilang pinasukan? Look at Vietnam. North and South Vietnam na pinasukan nila, surrogate war between the Soviet Union and the United States of America. Look how prosperous Vietnam is now, united under a communist rule. Tingnan nyo ang Cuba hanggang ngayon, andyan pa yung Guantanamo base ng mga Amerikano. My goodness, they even have the cure for cancer already. At ngayon meron na rin sila ng cure for COVID. And they have supported a lot of European countries at the start of this pandemic. Tingnan nyo ang ginawa nila sa Afghanistan. Pagkatapos silang pasukan dyan because of the, ano ba ito, the most progressive trade of hashish and the drugs. Pinasukan nila yan. And then they left. Just like that. Nakita ba nyo ang hirap ng mga nais umalis from Afghanistan? Worse than what happened in Vietnam when everybody started to flee. Yung mga refugees galing dyan. Ganyan na nangyari sa Afghanistan. Look what they did to Syria. Look what they did to Iraq. My goodness. Ano ba yung pinasukan na sa Iraq? Wala namang weapons of mass destruction. A lie when they entered there. Bakit? Tinang yung pinakamalaking oil refinery dyan o oil dyan. Kung sino may-ari. Bechtel. May-ari dyan, dating Secretary of State ng Amerika. Yan ang kanilang pinasukan. Ang ginawa nila kay Gaddafi because Gaddafi was already entering Africa. My goodness, ang dami ko nang sinusutsutan na ako kasi ang dami ko nang nakwento. Pero pinag-uusapan natin the historical basis of where America moves sapagkat tandaan ninyo ang main industry nila is arms. Gera. Diyan sila nagkakaroon ng malaking hanap buhay.
So,
Bakit tayo magpapagamit?
To save ourselves,
Yes.
let us free our land of foreign presence of military
Military presence.
troops. Yung mga
Yeah.
whether they are visiting, wala. Alam niyo, hinere-here lang yung
So
sinoy
we should abrogate all EDCA and all kinds, even the mutual defense treaty should be abrogated or rescinded, whatever it is, and declared unconstitutional. No?
because it is against the very principles of our independent foreign policy. Mga kabansa, asan na yung ating mga babasahin ngayong araw na ito?
Independent foreign policy. Yan ang paninindigan ng ating Pangulo.
Fernando Rosales, present. Uy, present daw siya. Damn the proposed additional U.S. bases. Kualas de Mons. Good evening, Ma'am Rita, Sir Butch Valdes, watching from Hong Kong. Good vibes, Dean Jaggers. Good PM from UK, Philip Jan Almosara. Hello, everyone. Rodolfo Lebaste, Calamares is threat to the country. Sana hindi. Good PM po sa inyo. Special Bomb Pilipinas. Pasyalan tayo ng Ayaw Kalamaharis pala. Ibig yung sabihin. Hindi nga siya nagpunta sa Europe, sabi. Danilo Thailand, good evening po sa inyo. I'm watching from Novaliches, Quezon City, District 5, Iberta. Palapang good evening po, Cesar Soberano, pagpatuloy ang pagpalagaran, pagkatotohanan para sa pagsalba ng ating ekonomiya at mamamayan. BBM has to have a roadmap, a blueprint to implement towards national development. Stop nice guy, Miss Antrope. Nice to see you back. Thank you. Good evening, Crossfire. Good evening, sir. Watching from Taiwan. Oy, Taiwan.
Yan ang Taiwan.
Good news. Si Huhu. Diana, good day sa inyo. Watching from Denmark. Random viral videos na sa 7 years tribulation na tayo. 2023 mag-start. Food tech buddies. I'm late. We'll watch the rest later. Rando Realin, isang mapagpalang gabi sa inyong lahat. Agree po. Save ourselves. Thank you, Bill. Ito po lahat. Watching from Germany. Jocelyn Fabian, Renato Arevalo, hindi po pwedeng maging passive tayo ng Wera Kano at China kasi magaganda ang weapon ng China. Vanji Bernaldez ni Criola. Good afternoon po sa inyo. Francis Erlaso, good afternoon po sa inyo. Giang, walang hiya yan. Amerika at mga oligarko na kasama nila. Gusto laging may war sa ibang bansa. Dapat parusahan na ng Diyos sila. Sobra-sobra na ang ginagawa paghihil sa ordinaryong tao sa buong mundo. L4R11T4. Ayun, sabihin, no? Yes. Now we are 6 years behind ng Laos and Indonesia. hindi effective sa China ka lang makapag-usap. Japan, US, may alliance din, may bases pa doon. Pero okay naman ang China at Japan. Alejandro, patag na yan. Another interesting deep topic by three intelligent Pinoy thinkers. Rafi XB, thank you. Greetings, Madam Gadi, Chairman Valdes at Ginoong Ado. Mabuhay po kayo. Mabuhay KDP. Eloy Bangkar, sabi ni Andulong, ang pag-visit ni Harry sa Palawan ay pareho ng iba na dignitary kung wala daw kinalaman sa South China Sea. Felicidad Dagata, good evening po. Excited na naman po akong panuorin kayong tatlo.
Thank you very much.
Ayan, maraming salamat at gagawin.
We have to read these books. Importante yan.
Ito po, ipa-plug ko na naman ang ating Christmas book sale. Sabi po ng publisher ko, up to December 15 na lamang. So take advantage while supply lasts. Christmas book sale, package din po. 1,200. I-text nyo lang ako sa 0917-336-4366 para maka-avail kayo nito. Kasama na po dyan ang freight ng JRS anywhere in the Philippines.
Thank you very much. Those are two very important books. So on behalf of Ado Paglinawan, Sir Butch Valdes, this is Rita Gadi thanking you all for having watching us and viewing us. Please be very careful insofar as all of these statements that we are making this afternoon. Remember, to save ourselves is most important. Sabi nga, sino ba nagsabi? Si Kennedy, do not ask what your government can do for you, do what you can do for yourselves. We have to start doing something for ourselves likewise. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. This is Rita Gadi.